Hey Nathan, it's going to be a very busy Christmas for Santa Claus.
Yes, and if you couldn't tell him my unique chapeau, we're celebrating that time of year with a special list.
Yep, he's going to have to go down a lot of chimneys, and he's going to have to give out a lot of, well, both presents and I fear coal, because there has been a lot of naughty, but not as much nice this year. And in this video, we're going to talk about all the people, trends, vehicles that have been either naughty or nice.
All right, I think we should get started. It's a big list.
Well, before I get started, I want to show what we've got for the naughty people.
Oh, there you go.
We do have, why don't you show them?
Okay, so for the naughty people, we have a lump of coal. Now, this is not exactly your regular lump of coal. It's apparently, yeah, it really is coal.
It's coal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for the other naughty ones, well, why don't you show them?
Okay, so for the other one, you may recognize this. We're not going to mention the movie, but soap in the mouth.
Yes. A classic holiday tradition.
Amazing movie. Truly, truly amazing movie. So there you go. Naughty and nice for those who are naughty. Different types of coal that you should be getting in your stocking.
All right, well, let's start with the nice, though, because let's give, praise where praise is due. Santa is going to be very happy with this list, I think.
Yep.
So let's start with some of the awesome cars and trucks that have arrived this year.
All right, let's fire away. And I think that we should start off with the Jeep Wrangler. And there's two different Jeep Wranglers, really.
Yeah, there's definitely two that have been very nice.
Right. And that is the 4xe and the 392. Two completely different vehicles, both of which knocked our socks off.
You know what was super nice about the 4xe? If you wanted, I think they've raised the price since they introduced it, but if you wanted a Rubicon, because of the federal government, it was the least expensive way to get a Rubicon for a long time.
Yeah, provided that you're in the right bracket to get the...
But I think even without the government tax incentives, it was still the least expensive, initially when it came out, Rubicon you could buy if you got the 4xe.
And on top of that, it's frugal. You are able to drive a distance off-road on all-electric power. We've proven that. And it was a proper Rubicon. I thought it was a fantastic vehicle, but not quite as much fun as its brother.
Yep, that's right. Santa delivered a Hemi to all you Wrangler fans out there with the 392.
That thing is stupid fun.
Yep.
God, we had so much fun with it. It's not the most practical vehicle on the planet, but for those of you who have been demanding a V8, Jeep decided rather than just give you one of our smaller, weaker displacement V8s, no. We're giving you something beefy right off the bat, and this thing practically does wheelies.
Yep, and then to make things even more interesting this year, Ford finally rolled out the Bronco.
Indeed they did, and we will probably talk a little bit about the Bronco in other ways as well.
In the naughty section as well.
Indeed, but hey, we own one. The TFL got a Bronco because it is an all-new vehicle, and Ford put a lot of time and energy and sweated the details, getting this vehicle up to snuff to make sure it is off-road capable, daily driver capable, and something that all of you guys could take from the base and make it into an absolute extreme off-roader right out of the box.
Yeah, Santa-like, because I think Ford nailed it out of the ballpark. They got the retro and the new just right. That blend was perfect.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who are now taking delivery of their Broncos would agree with us.
Yeah, there's an awful lot to like with that brand new Bronco.
And I think there are two more honorable mentions. They're not as stunning as either of these two, but I think the Acura Type S TLX.
The TLX is stunning. I mean, it was the best looking Acura I've seen, and that's, yes, the NSX and all that stuff. I think this was even better looking. Fantastic design. I hope that they design all their vehicles to look this good.
And Tiger Woods may not agree, but Santa certainly does. The Genesis GB70.
He went there. You're going to get some coal. I'm telling you. Well, fortunately, hey, that thing actually could have saved his life. The whole point is that SUV is one of the best that we've tested, period. It's a knockout. It's incredible.
They came up with an entirely new design language, and made a vehicle that in a segment that is incredibly crowded that stands out, and I think that definitely deserves a lot of nice from Santa.
Without a doubt, and I think Genesis is going to be getting a lot more nice in the future.
All right, well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about an entire trend that I think is nice and exploded this year. And of course, I'm talking about electrification.
Now, I know a lot of you might be thinking, well, there's still not a lot on the market. You would actually be surprised. There is, and a lot has been introduced this year, much of which was covered by you and Tommy.
Yeah, we really kind of tripled down on electrification because I think this is a year that finally it's kind of exploded into the zeitgeist of the nation, both with availability of electric vehicles and, of course, with desirability. How do you say that?
Desirability?
I can't say it.
Yeah, you just kind of cut the middle part out.
I can't
There's
say
more
that.
to that, though. Also, gas prices, when they did their big spike, there were a lot of people who were like, an electric vehicle might make sense. So there's a lot of customer demand that was recently elevated by the fact that fuel prices went up.
Lustfulness.
Lustfulness, that's a good one.
Yeah, I can say that one.
Okay.
All right, let's kind of go down some of the cars that I think fit that lustfulness criteria. Obviously, the Ford Mustang Mach-E. A lot of people were lusting after that.
Oh, and Ford has, by the way, tripled down on that vehicle. They are absolutely increasing production. We just had a story on that at TFLcar.com. That car is super desirable. Everybody wants it. It's a great car.
And the Porsche Taycan and the Audi e-tron GT, both cars very lustworthy.
Yeah, really, my favorite electric cars.
The Mercedes-Benz EQS, I just drove that
Yes,
in the
you did.
AMG format. And the ones that we haven't driven, unfortunately, the Lucid Air and the Rivian R1T.
Yeah, I mean, I hear good things, but we haven't driven them, so yeah. Okay.
And of course, the one that I did get to drive, the GMC Hummer EV, is, crazy. All I can say is when I put that in WTF mode on their test track and I floored it, that truck literally tried to rip the tires off the wheels.
Yeah, it's just stupid powerful. And, we will hopefully be seeing various versions of that will be more affordable, and Santa will be happy to hear about that.
Yeah, and then Santa's, looking forward to a new truck class.
That's right, and I think this is the biggest news of the year, personally speaking. It's my own personal opinion, and that is the small pickup class. And these are basically crossovers that have pickup beds on them, but there's a lot more than that. And there's two companies that have managed to do that. That's Hyundai and Ford. So the Hyundai Santa Cruz, we've been following the development of this since 2015, and the Ford Maverick. And the Ford Maverick is something that was kind of sprung on us. We didn't have a lot of warning about this one by comparison. Both vehicles are excellent. In many cases, they hit a home run and they filled a void that I think a lot of people have been hoping to have filled.
You're exactly right. Compact trucks are a thing again.
Yes, they are. Thank goodness.
And thank goodness, because they are a really cool thing, as we've proved by taking them to the Happy Yak Ranch, filling them with wood or hay, towing with them. Yeah, it's pretty
off-road.
incredible. Yeah.
I mean, we've done a lot with them, and there's a lot more coming. And I think this segment is going to grow in a very short amount of time, which is good for you guys. As segments get larger, that means there's more to pick from. And Santa likes the fact that the prices may actually come down, even though they're fairly reasonable to begin with.
And you can park them.
Yes, indeed, you can park them. Thank goodness.
All right. And 2021 was also a great year for off-roaders, Nathan.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot. It was huge. Pretty much every brand needs an off-road model.
You got to have an off-road. Even Porsche with the Taycan came out with the Cross Turismo, right?
Right.
Who would have thunk?
Yeah. Actually, Porsche does have a little bit of a history with off-roading too.
So let's talk about some of the other ones that we haven't mentioned yet.
Yes.
Obviously, the Subaru Outback and Forest Wilderness, where they took an existing platform, jacked it up, gave it a little bit of off-road cred.
Actually, they
called it an off-roader.
Yeah, and Tommy got to drive one off-road, and he said it did really well. And they did beef it up in the right ways, and credit where credit's due. They did a good job. Let's move on, though, because obviously the Honda Passport Trail Sport. Now, by the way, around the time you see this is around the time you might be hearing about their new Trail Sport from the Passport, and that's the vehicle that I've driven. So check out that video. It's coming soon, or it might just be out.
Now, the one we haven't driven, but we did a video on, is the Ford Explorer Timberline. And there's an Expedition Timberline coming as well. So once again, more off-road worthy Explorer and Expedition. And of course, the Ford Bronco Sport. Who can forget the Ford Bronco Sport? A lot of people thought it was a Bronco. Dare I say it's not, but nevertheless, it's probably the best off-roader in that small crossover segment.
I would agree. On top of that, it actually is a hot seller for Ford because a lot of people are not going to be driving a truck-based Bronco. Getting the Bronco Sport gives you a lot of the goodness in terms of your looks and your attitude and some off-road capability, but at the same time, it's a daily driver that gets fairly good mileage. All these things are huge, and that vehicle has been selling like hotcakes. In fact, it started selling before the big Bronco came out.
And a lot of oranges and apples and candy to GMC for their entire AT4 lineup, Nathan.
Yes, the AT4 lineup has increased recently. We got a chance to drive the brand new GMC Sierra. No, sorry, not the Sierra, the Canyon. The Canyon AT4.
But the Sierra is also one of them.
The Sierra's on there as well.
Yukon, the Terrain, they all have been butched up and off-roaded.
Exactly, and they're even more off-road capable, and that is huge, so kudos to them.
And finally, lest we forget, Nathan, our friends over at TFL Bike, and I mean Alex and Case, of course, have been riding their butts off with the new Mini Motos. Honda has reinvented and resurged an entire old segment that is now new. And I'm talking about, if you don't know what Mini Motos are, these are classic little now 125cc Hondas like the Monkey, like the Trail, that used to be popular and that are now exploding in popularity. So the Grom, I think me and you would look like, circus bears riding.
You rode one. It was about the most entertaining thing I ever saw when he was riding a monkey. That was like a Russian bear driving a little tiny bicycle or something like that. But the thing is that these are super popular. They're affordable, which is great.
$4,000 for 125cc fuel injected. Some are automatic, some are not. Some are sporty, some are off-roady, some are both.
And the boys have been taking them off-road and bouncing around with them and delivering pizzas with them and doing all these different things with them. And that's on TFL Bike. And they work so hard to bring that content to you, and they absolutely adore these bikes.
Well, Nathan, I think it's time to start awarding a little bit of soap and a lot of coal.
Oh yeah,
to our friends who have been naughty, because I hate to say this, but it's been a very naughty year.
It has,
indeed,
and this section
naughty.
is much bigger, by the way, if you guys are curious. That's kind of a sad start right there. So let's get the naughty section going right now. Yours jiggles better than mine.
I got smaller coal.
So let's talk about dealer markup. Wow, Santa is not amused. You're going to get something worse than coal in your stocking, I'm telling you. Dealer markups are something now, in some cases they say it's out of necessity during the fact that there is a supply shortage for vehicles on lots. And unfortunately, an awful lot of these dealers are marking up, in some cases astronomically, double and even triple pricing their vehicles because they can and because people are desperate to get them. And unfortunately, it hurts everybody except for the dealer because they make an awful lot of money. And I don't think it's fair, and neither do many of you.
And I think especially a large lump of coal needs to go to Ford dealers for marking the Bronco.
Not all of them, though. Not all
of them. There are places that do get the nice list, like Johnson's.
Yeah.
Where we buy our vehicles.
They stay at around MSRP.
There are dealers who, but we have obviously done tons of stories this year. You can go over to TFL Car and you can see tons of Ford dealers that have marked up the Bronco anywhere from $20,000 to even $30,000. Some asking as much as double. I've seen double the price of a Bronco. And we should talk about some other vehicles as well, because those are not the only ones.
No.
I think the other cars that are getting marked up are, of course, the Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade.
Yeah, those things have had significant upticks, so to speak, from these dealers. Keep these dealers in mind. By the way, Santa's not the only one who wants to give them a little piece of his mind.
The Toyota RAV4, especially the Prime.
Yeah.
Over $90K in some places.
I mean, come on, guys. That is just ridiculous. And there are many other examples.
Let's not keep Chevy out of this. Chevy,
Corvette. Yeah. Well, not just the Corvette, but also some of their trucks.
An affordable everyman sports car.
Yeah.
Going for anywhere from, sticker of 70. I've seen them as much as 110,000. Let's not keep Ram out of it. You Ram dealers have also had your share of naughty.
And
TRX
some Jeep stuff has happened.
Yeah. It's
almost every dealer out there, and with there are some exceptions, which is in some cases, if you're able to go online and do online shopping and online delivery, you can avoid some of these markups. We're not going to be too specific about that because things tend to change. It's a fluid time of year. But the point is that there are an awful lot of people out there who are doing these huge markups where they just write it in and write themselves a check.
I would say, we've tried to highlight the dealers that are doing this. The best way, let's face it, it's not illegal in this country. I was talking to the Germans, and in Germany, apparently it's illegal.
Good, because maybe that'll move over here. You know, there are a lot of other items you cannot do that with, but with cars, it's a very different thing.
And the best way to stop that is, I know you guys love your TRXs, your Broncos, your RAV4 Primes. Just don't pay over sticker. Just I would refuse to do business with any dealership that either, first of all, marks up over sticker, or to me, what's even more egregious in some ways is where they do that kind of BS add-on options that you don't need, and then overcharge for them by thousands.
Yeah, and also keep in mind who these dealers are, because once prices start to normalize, and eventually we expect they will, they don't necessarily need your business, do they? Okay, let's move on. That was coming directly from Santa, by the way.
Santa is also very grumpy about manufacturers because of all the production delays. And we know a lot of it has to do with COVID and chip shortages, but let's face it, with the warning that auto manufacturers got with the tsunami in Japan, when that knocked out production for a lot of the Japanese brands, it's still surprising that they were so completely caught with their pants down when this happened. You could have called this, you could have seen it coming, just in time. Manufacturing just completely fell apart, and what you ended up with are thousands of trucks idling in parking lots, and because they didn't have a door handle or they didn't have a chip for, you name it.
Yeah, I mean, we know about the chips, and we also know that, some of the causes have to do with things that have happened in Asia with some of the factories, fires and all that. But you're right. A lot of the manufacturers were caught with their pants down. They did not have a sufficient supply chain to where they could go to plan B. And even during COVID,
I think it was barely a plan A.
Yeah. It's just, we can now see how these inequities, and here's the worst part, and it's not on what we've written, but there are a lot of people out there that are taking delivery of vehicles that have substandard parts in some cases, or they're actually missing components.
And what that created, which is also very, very grump-inducing to Santa, was the fact that now used car prices in some cases went up as high as 40% and exceeded the cost of new car prices. So you have things like, I wouldn't buy a used Tacoma because you can get a new one cheaper.
Yeah, in many cases,
places, yeah.
In many cases, that's true. Used car prices, and there are a lot of people out there who are desperate to get a new used car. Get in a car accident, or you've got to replace yours, or whatever. It's simple to say, oh, just go ahead and wait a little bit until it calms down, but, some people can't, and then they're getting taken advantage of. So it's a real shame to see that as well.
And here's what's making really the naughty list, Nathan. Because of the chip shortage, right? Many manufacturers decided that the best way to help their customers out was to sell only the expensive models. Get rid of the entry level, get rid of the affordable cars and trucks. Let's just go with the premium pricing on every vehicle that we sell.
Price hikes have been seen throughout the industry. And we're going to start right off with Tesla. I mean, they went up quite a bit, didn't they? The Model Y now starts over $60,000.
Yeah, and Tesla has this way of waking up in the morning and just announcing the fact on their website that the price of the Model 3 has gone up, well, let's say $3,000.
Yeah, it's difficult to see how this company can, instill a lot of favoritism when they do stuff like this.
Tesla, for all I know, you fanboys and fangirls aren't going to want to hear this, but Tesla has actually increased the price of the Model Y over $10,000.
I called it last year when I saw it moving up that, they claimed initially the Model Y would be a somewhat affordable vehicle. It's not, and it's a shame. Santa thinks that you deserve
$110,000
for
$490 for a Model X now, the standard model. Forget about the Plaid, because Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Promised that the Plaid would do 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But it won't. So you can buy a Plaid, but it's electronically governed to go to 155. It's coming, apparently. And by the way, that's another thing that is spreading through the industry. And shame on you, Tesla, and shame on you, manufacturers, for putting cars out there and then retrofitting things after you're selling them. I think that is a really, really naughty trend.
That's a naughty trend, and you're going to get some coal for that.
Because you're promising things, obviously, that you're delivering, but you're delivering them late. And I think what you're doing is you're selling hype.
I agree 100%. And you know what else I agree with? When I was a kid and I always wanted a car, I would watch David Hasselhoff drive his Knight Rider car, and he had a steering yoke. And I thought that's the coolest thing ever. Then I discovered that steering yokes suck, and they're very difficult to use on an awful lot of vehicles, and there are plenty of reasons why a steering wheel, which is this round device, simply works. I don't care if you're trying to eliminate the human being from the equation and have the car do a majority of the steering. I don't buy it, and on top of that, I think it's a terrible idea. And an awful lot of automakers have auto magazines, and people who are in our world say it's a bad idea. So if they all say it's a bad idea, maybe it's a bad idea. I truly think it is.
Santa says that Mr. Musk needs a little bit of soap in his mouth for actually starting this trend with the yoke, because unfortunately, it's also catching on with other manufacturers.
Well, because Tesla is currently setting the bar, and so other people are like, well, if Tesla's doing it, then I've got to do it. No, you don't. And, just watch them and see whether or not they fail. It looks like that this thing is not a very popular option. And yes, keep it an option, please. And you humans out there who drive a car, stick with a wheel. It seems to be a better option. Go ahead and send the hate mail. Go ahead, but I stand by the fact that a yoke is a bad idea. I did try driving a car with a yoke before. It was a terrible, terrible experience.
I'm with you, and Santa is as well, Nathan. And Santa is also very grumpy and putting truck manufacturers on the naughty list for increasing the price of trucks. Trucks have become insanely expensive.
There was a time, and I think maybe you guys agree with this, that trucks actually went to guys who worked, and gals who physically work, and need to use their vehicles for. Now, I know that a lot of them have become like the multi-purpose utilitarian thing that your family uses, and then occasionally you work with it. I get it. But so many of the prices have gone so high that the base prices are jumping up and regular trim levels are jumping up. Every price is jumping up with only a few exceptions. And it's a terrible thing because an awful lot of people really need a truck for work.
Yeah, let me give you some examples, Nathan. Our Tundra that we just purchased, which was a limited, which is in Toyota speak, the mid-grade, right?
Yeah, it's above SR5.
Was near $60,000. The F-150 King Ranch, $57,000. The Ram 1500 Longhorn, also around $57,000 with the V8. The Chevy Silverado LTZ, $54,000. And a fully loaded HD truck, they're touching $100K right now.
An awful lot of people out there who could really use a fairly well-equipped truck, at least one that can just do the basics things, for say 30 grand, and you're going to have a hard time finding one of those at that price.
All right, and of course, our last thing that gets a little bit of lump of coal is, electrification. Good. Mm-hmm. Hydrogen's been naughty this year, Nathan.
Naughty, shaking both cans of coal at you.
The technology is really cool, but there are still no places you can actually get hydrogen for cars like the Toyota Mirai and, of course, the Hyundai Nexo outside of California.
Yeah, can I tell them what happened when they delivered one here?
Yes.
They rolled it off the truck. We drove it for, less than 200 miles, and then we had to put it right back on the truck because there's no place here in Colorado to fill one up. Now, I know that the idea behind hydrogen is a fantastic idea, except for Zeppelins, but it's a different story. But when you think about the fact that there is absolutely no infrastructure that real people can use in any other state other than California, and even in California, Tommy had a hell of a time, didn't he?
Yeah, filling up with hydrogen can be a nightmare. You should watch Tommy's video.
It really is worth seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So, if you're going to push a product, you have to make sure there's something to back it up, and there's not even, one real station here in Colorado, much less a lot of other states, most other states. It doesn't make any sense right now. So why are you pushing this product? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Focus on what you can accomplish for consumers who need it now. That's my point.
Dare I suggest, Nathan, that if manufacturers like Hyundai and Toyota actually are serious about hydrogen, that just like Tesla, they build out the infrastructure. If Tesla can do it with no money,
then you guys can do it and actually create a chain and maybe have a couple near major populated areas, perhaps Denver here or Boulder or whatever.
Let me put a caveat in there before you do the comments. When Tesla built out their electrification, they didn't have a lot of money. Now the company is worth more than Santa.
Almost.
Yeah, but nevertheless, car companies still have deep pockets, and take all that money you're making by selling us, $70,000 versions of your most popular truck, and potentially, go into the infrastructure business.
If you're going to try to do hydrogen, the point is that follow Tesla's guidebook and build yourself out an infrastructure that can actually be used. And then we'll try those cars again and see what happens. I would love a hydrogen-powered system for a pickup truck, and they've already experimented with it. It would be wonderful because it would be so inexpensive if it worked right, but there's no infrastructure.
Well, let's wrap this up on something nice, not naughty, Nathan. So let's talk about just a few of the nice things that Santa is looking forward to. Some of the vehicles that are coming.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff.
Yeah, so I think, like the new Bronco Raptor, I think that's going to be a pretty exciting vehicle.
Oh, yeah, the Bronco Raptor is going to be very exciting.
The new Corvette Z06.
Oh, that's going to be extraordinary.
Exactly. How about the new Volkswagen ID Buzz, the little
Oh,
camper?
the van?
Yeah.
You mean the little van kind of looks like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? That is going to be super cool. Even my wife is digging the idea. She's kind of a hippie in a way, but it's really cool. And finally, an electric minivan-ish type thing happening. I think that's a good thing.
And on the truck side, of course, at some point soon, hopefully, we're going to get a new Hummer EV.
Yes.
But more importantly, I think for a lot of mid-sized truck fans out there, the new Tacoma, we've seen spy photos of that.
We know for a fact that that's coming, and we have a very updated Ford Ranger coming out real soon too.
And a Colorado.
Yes.
And a Canyon. It's going to be 2022 is going to be the year of the mid-sized truck.
Yes, and as I said, there's a lot of stuff coming that we can't even tell you about, but we know that everything is expanding, everything is growing in a good way too. So even though there's some gloom and doom about some stuff, there's other stuff coming that actually might give you guys a little bit of hope.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more off-roady stuff coming.
That too.
Well, guys, let us know what you think was naughty and what was nice in the comments below. As always, Nathan, thank you for taking the time to help out Santa this year.
It's a pleasure. I love helping out Santa, and you guys, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Yep. Happy Festivus.
So that too. See you next time.
Out.